What's up, guys? Welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you what to do with that leftover turkey. I usually make a rice and chicken soup, but today we're going to use that leftover turkey because we don't want it to go to waste. I usually like to start with 3 regular sized carrots. I start by cutting the ends because I do not want that in my soup. I also start by taking the skin off because who wants that stringy carrot skin in their soup? I sure don't. I'm a texture person, so that's not happening. I go ahead and put that in a bowl and put it to the side because we're going to cut 2 more things. Here is me showing you guys the rest of the carrots, just chopping them up in small pieces because I do not like big pieces of carrots. I don't even like carrots in general. I took 2 celery stalks and went ahead and cut it in the middle and chopped them up. And then I went ahead with an entire onion. You can use however much onion you like, but I wanted to use an entire onion. Here is what is left over of a 13-pound turkey. We literally killed it. I started taking all the pieces of meat and then I started shredding the meat as well and putting it in the pot that I was going to cook the soup because it is going to be a 1-pot meal. I started shredding it now because it's just easier. Then I went ahead and put the skin. Yes, I just put the skin in there for flavor. It will not be in my soup because, like I said, I'm a texture person and I sure ain't eating that. I started moving it around a little bit. Since the turkey is already cooked, you don't have to let this simmer on your stove for too long. You don't want it to overcook and then it be dry. I went ahead and lowered the heat a little bit and I started removing that turkey from the pot. That way we can start cooking our soup. So this is what you're going to see me doing for the next few minutes. Just go ahead and leave all those juices in there. Like I said, it's going to be a 1-pot meal. So just go ahead and take all that out. I went ahead and brought the heat up to 4. And then I started adding I actually added 2 tablespoons of butter to this. And I went ahead and let it melt all the way. Do not add your ingredients without the butter melting. I just think it's better if you let it melt. To the same pot, I went ahead and added the celery, the carrots, and the onion that we previously chopped. One ingredient that you don't see me adding here is garlic, which I forgot. You will see me adding this later to this pot. So don't forget the garlic. Add as much garlic as you want. I'm a garlic person, so you'll see me adding a lot. I went ahead and moved all those vegetables around and went ahead and put the lid for a few minutes just to let these vegetables sweat a little bit. Here's the garlic, y'all. So I like to let the vegetables sweat a little bit. That way all the flavor from the celery, the carrots, and the onions come out. And when I tell you the aroma in your kitchen is going to be great. If y'all can hear the background, you will hear somebody saying that it smells great. Move that around a little bit. I start seasoning my soup now. I go in with 1 Maggi cube. I like to season my food my way. You know what your family likes. You know what your taste bud likes. So go ahead and season that your way. I do not have any measurements in this video. Then I went ahead with a little bit of paprika, for a little kick or whatever. Just add as much as you like. I went ahead with parsley, dry parsley. If you have fresh parsley, I recommend that because the flavor of it is extremely good for the soup. A little bit of black pepper. You can add as much as you want as well. Like I said, it's to your taste, not my taste. I went with a little bit of Lori seasoning salt as well, just, to give it a little bit more flavor. After I added all these ingredients, I moved that around a little bit. Make sure you mix it very, very well. After that, I added 2 tablespoons of flour. You can add cornstarch or you can go ahead and not add this at all. The only reason I do it is to make it a little bit thicker. Go ahead and move that flour around immediately. You do not want it to burn. Make sure your heat is not super high. I gave this a couple minutes to let that flour taste go away. I like to use chicken broth. You can go ahead and use water for this if you want to, but you will have to add a little bit more seasonings to have that rich chicken flavor. In this box of chicken stock, broth, whatever you call it, there's about 4 cups of it. So I went ahead and added 4 more cups of water. Because it's a soup, y'all. You can add more water if you want to. For me and my family, we like it a little bit on the thicker side, so that's why I only added 8 cups of water. But if you want a little bit more watery, I do recommend to add about 10 cups of just liquid in general. I went ahead and tasted the broth. I wanted a little more flavor, so I added a little bit more of seasoning salt to it, a little bit more paprika, just a little bit more seasoning because we like flavor at my house. I don't know about y'all. I like about this recipe is that you don't have to use all these crazy ingredients just to make it flavorful. Also, keep in mind that the turkey also does have flavor from being previously seasoned, so don't overdo it. I think the game changer for my soup is a little bit of smoked paprika, so that's what I'm adding to it right now. I also went and put in a little bit more of onion powder. You can never go wrong with onion powder and garlic powder. As you do this, I do recommend that you taste your soup because you do not want to make it salty or too flavorful where nobody wants to eat it. One of my secret ingredients is this little Goya like seasoning. Is basically for stocks, for like soups and stuff. I go ahead and move that around a little bit. Again, I went ahead and tasted it because I do not want to over season it. I went and added the rest of it because I was like, it needs a little bit more. So that's what I'm doing right here. I went ahead and put all my turkey, yes, the bone as well, into this pot because it's all going to, you're going to let all of this simmer, cook, whatever you want to do for 20 something minutes. So just add everything back in. Do not add any more seasonings right now because all the flavor from that turkey will come out for the next 20 minutes. And as you can see, I'm not leaving anything behind. Even in this bowl that I had the turkey sitting in there, I'm going to add a little bit of water and add that back into my pot just because I want to get all the flavor combined in there. You will have to heat around like 4 or 3. You do not want this to boil. That is one of the keys to this soup. I also went ahead and added the carcass of the turkey into my soup because I know it's full of flavor, and like I said, we want it flavorful and we want to take all the flavor that we can. So I went ahead and put all the extra bones as well in there because I will be taking it out later because who wants to find bones in their soup? But for now, this is what we're going to do. I know the broth looks a little bit on the darker side and one might say, oh, it's too salty, it's over seasoned. Trust me and believe me, it is not. It was great. We finished the whole pot in one day. It was amazing. Here you see me putting the heat down. Like I said, you do not want this to boil because it will make a mess. So I went ahead and covered this pot and I set a timer for 20 minutes because we want this to simmer for 20 minutes. While it was simmering, I noticed that all the oil from the turkey and the butter was coming up. So I went ahead with a spoon and started removing all of that. If you want to leave it, you can. But at my house, we like to wash our figures. So we went ahead and removed that. About 10 minutes later, I kept checking it and moving things around. But the 20 minutes were up and I started removing that skin, like I said, because it was just for flavor. I also started removing the carcass, the bones, all of the bones out of this soup. I do not want any bones, especially if you have little kids at home. You do not want them to choke on these bones or elders. It's just not a good thing. I do not want bones in my soup, y'all. So I went ahead and removed all of those, all the pieces of skin that I found, as well as the turkey meat. I went ahead and took this and put it back in a bowl because I'm going to shred it. Even though it looks shredded, I want to shred it a little bit more. That way the entire soup has a little bit of turkey. It wasn't a lot left, so this is just leftovers. I also went ahead and added 1.5 cups of jasmine rice. You can use whatever type of rice you like. Just be mindful that the rice will cook fast, and depending on the cooking time for whatever rice you want to use or the amount of water, just keep in mind all of that. I recommend jasmine rice. It cooks easy. It doesn't need a lot of water to cook. It's just my favorite rice. So I went ahead and added all that rice in there, and I went ahead and moved this around just a little bit to make sure the rice was evenly distributed in the pot because you don't want it to be all on one side. Do you see my heat? I have this attitude. You do not want to burn the rice at the bottom of the pot or anything like that. That turkey that I had removed, I went and shredded all of it and I added it back into the pot, and you're going to go ahead and move all this around. You want the turkey to be evenly distributed with the rice in this big old pot. Just look how beautiful it looks. Keep moving this for about half a minute or so. Like I said, you want this to evenly distribute and make sure all the rice and turkey is mixed together. This is me about to cover this up and leave the heat down. Do not let this boil. And go ahead and set another timer for 20 more minutes. to allow all that rice to cook and mix in there. You are going to spend at least an hour making this meal for your family, and I promise you they're going to love it. This is what it looked like after 20 minutes, and here's me plating it for you guys. I promise you, if you make this recipe even with regular chicken or regular turkey or whatever, your family is going to love it, and they're going to eat it all like we did. Like I said, we like it on a thicker side, so that's why it's not as soupy. You can make it more soupy by adding more water or chicken broth to your soup. As you guys can see, it is rich in color, and I just wish you guys can smell this through the screen. It was a hit. Like I said, we ate the whole pot the same day. It was 3 of us, and I feel like we ate this about 3-4 times. And I was done making this around 2 p.m. If you guys make this recipe at home, go ahead and comment and let me know how it went for you guys. Bye bye.